Welcome back to Champions Corner. I'm your host, Adriel Orona, and today's guest is a professional MMA fighter out of Cincinnati, Ohio. With a pro record of 2-1, he represents Team Relentless MMA, known for his toughness and ability to finish inside the cage. Outside of fighting, he's also an entrepreneur running American Gangster Apparel and building his brand beyond the sport. Today's guest is Hunter Fatality Frazer.
Diamonds like water and they jumping out the gym. Shooting like Harden if your head was the rim. Wanna line me like a shape up in a trim down. Back when I was broke, they was cool with it. Now every move I make, I'm in the news with it. Even if I ain't do it, they be like, you did it.
Training with Roger, training at Relentless.
Training with Roger.
Man, I've been training with Roger since 2021.
Ooh.
Yeah, since the spring of 21.
Dang, so that's like a little bit right after COVID.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
How'd you get in touch with Roger?
So my boxing coach is actually his boxing coach, Rob Radford.
Okay.
Rob Radford's Boxing for Fitness. He's known as Rich Franklin's boxing coach. Yeah, man, I got hooked up with him because I had followed Roger on Instagram, knew he was a UFC vet, had heard about him from the gym, heard about how good he was. So one day, man, I talked to Rob, and I'm like, hey, you care if I, bring him in here, try and get some sparring and try to level me up, because I just felt like nobody in there was really pushing me other than Rob. Rob was pushing me on drills and stuff. But, yeah, man, so he told me, he was like, yeah, man, do it. He said, but I want you to know something. He was like, Roger's a good dude. I love him. He's like, but he might knock you out. He was like, you might be standing there striking and he throws a head kick and you're out. He said, he'll feel bad about it. He's a great guy. He's like, but he's just, he's powerful. He's an athlete and he trains hard. So I knew that before I even reached out to him. Mm-hmm. So one of his best friends, TJ Ball, who's also a good buddy of mine, I knew him before I knew Roger. And he came in, him and Roger, he told me, he said, reach out to him. So I reached out to him. We set up a date. We brought him in. And I remember, I was never really nervous, about training with people.
Yeah.
But I remember first seeing him, I'm like, this dude's going to out-athlete the fuck out of him.
Right.
Yeah. So we get to training, man. And he just, it was hard rounds from the beginning. We're not always that way now, but when I met him, it was like we were training. We were leveling up each session. And I remember the first session, man, he hit me with his infamous body shot, opened me up, and then came over with a hook. And I kind of folded on the ropes. I was like, My coach is Rob Jones. He's like, you're all right, just breathe.
Yeah.
To the end of that, man, we had a great training session. It was phenomenal. It was the start of, all this.
Yeah.
Because at the time, he wasn't actively training, people to fight or anything. Mm-hmm. So, I remember being at Kings Island Water Park with my kids a couple hours after. I think we got done training at 10:30 or 11, and then I went up there with my kids, and I was walking around, and I forgot where I was. I was like, wow, where am I? Kind of scared.
Yeah.
I was like, where am I? What's happening? I was like, I definitely had a concussion. Long story short, definitely had a concussion.
Right.
But, yeah, man. And we just kept working together no matter what home gym I was always based out of, because I was at Rob Radford's, and then he sent me up to Neil Rowe at Sakin, which is legendary Muay Thai crew, also for Rich Franklin. Mm-hmm. So I went out there and got into my jiu-jitsu and my Muay Thai, and then me and Roger had always trained through that. Yeah. And then it became, he started building up the team. It was me and Jamon Spiller, who's also on our team. He brought him in for wrestling and me for his striking, and it just kicked off this whole what it is now.
Hell yeah.
It all started with a couple of us working out of random gyms and Roger's basement.
Right.
So to see where it is now, it's crazy.
It's crazy, huh?
And the waves of people that are just coming in and all the good talent, you're like, dang, these aren't just people wanting to train. These are people who want to fight.
Right.
And that's one thing that I think Roger, loves about doing this is it's not just, our classes and teaching people. It's helping these guys get successful careers at the highest level that they want to take it to.
Right. Yeah.
So
what kind of separates a fighter from somebody who's just training? Because you kind of spoke on that a little bit.
Man, it's just something when people are in here. I have people that come in and they say they want to fight.
Yeah.
But you see them and you're like, you look like you want to train. You're training like you just want to train.
Is it like you're just going through the motions, like to check off the box that you're here to work out, stuff like that?
Yeah, you can always just sense that grit in people that you're like, you're a fighter. Even if people don't plan on fighting.
Right.
You can tell that. You're like, maybe you don't want to fight, but you'd be phenomenal at it.
Right.
So, the team that we built, I think we're getting waves of new fighters, but we usually know like which guys are coming to fight, which guys are coming to train. Fighting's one of those things like you have to chase it. Your heart has to be in it.
Right. Because the moment your heart's not in it, you're gonna get slumped.
Oh man, and you can't just be in it for the money because it doesn't. It's one of those things that doesn't pay until it does.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like there's so much that goes into it, so many sacrifices. So to have a group of people like we've built who everyone's heart's in it.
Right.
They live, eat, breathe, this is life to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So growing up on the west side, what was it like for you through your early ages?
So I grew up, I'm originally from Delhi, over on the west side of Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Grew up with my mom. My dad wasn't around growing up. My mom, my sister, and my grandma. And then I had moved out to Westchester in later grade school, mid-grade school actually, and bounced around schools from there. Mom was in a relationship, and then it's like things would go south, and we moved a lot. I wasn't always the best, I was a little shithead, but yeah, man. So that was life in Delhi. Was just my younger years, but then out in Westchester was high school and growing up, and then I moved to Mason.
Yeah.
After high school, so I've kind of, and even the part of Mason I'm in is kind of like still Westchester, you know what I mean? So
that
area,
split.
man. Yeah.
I get what you're saying because we lived in Westchester too for a little bit. We lived right by Liberty Elementary School.
Okay, yeah.
So we're originally from California.
Nice.
We lived out there for 5 years, and then our family came over, and we first were in Westchester, that Liberty area, and then from there we went to Batavia.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of familiar with that area.
It's built up a lot now. Like I remember when I first went out there, it wasn't, and now it's like. It's a whole little city out there.
Hell yeah.
You know what I mean? But all my family's still on the west side of Cincinnati. Delhi, Price Hill, Western Hills, all in that area. That's where all my roots come from over there.
And then growing up, were you introduced into fighting? Like how did MMA become something that you pursued?
So for that, we got to skip forward a lot of years. So no, when I was a kid though, I wasn't into the best stuff. I was kind of lost, man. I didn't really have my dad around. My mom did what she could, but at the same time, it was like the people that I was with and the people I was around, we were all just kind of lost together. You know what I mean? And fucking it, goes down bad roads. But what really got me into fighting is when I went away from stuff from my past. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I started working with a boxer named Dale Crow. If you know who he is, he was Roger, and everyone knows who he is around Cincinnati. He had a big name. But he was actually Rob Radford's, fighter.
Oh, snap.
So we had started off just hitting mitts and stuff when I was away, in the gym or the sweat box, whatever we had available at the time. And man, I had these mitts made by a laundry porter, and I still have them. And they're so awesome, man. There was so much time. I remember I gave like $30 a commissary for these.
Damn.
Which in there, it's like, $30.
Yeah, bread.
So yeah, man, I had them made. I had these little gloves made, and I would go in there, man, and I would hit mitts, and that was just. It was probably a year and a half after I even found fitness. I was so late. I passed my mid-20s when I even discovered working out.
Really?
I was never healthy, was never in shape. So once I fell in love with that, and I'm like, gosh, I like being healthy feels better than being not healthy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I started thinking about my future and wanting to take care of myself and set a better example for my kids and just people around me. So yeah, I started training boxing, man. That actually is part of it. The other part is just because you're like, hey, you're in an environment where you're like, hey, I want to be able to fight.
Right.
And,
Gotta protect
I want to be able to be prepared for anything. So he started working with me, and I got close to Dale Crow. He's written some books and stuff while he's been away, too. Completely. One of the best dudes I've ever met, man. Yeah. but before I got out, he was like, hey, you know, like if you're serious about this, I'm going to hook you up with my boxing coach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, and I remember before he ever said, when he said that, man, it was like the world stopped for me. I'm like, hold on, I got somebody that believes in me in this, you know?
Right.
And I would sit on my rack, man, and I would watch UFC fights because you only got limited stuff on anyway. But once I picked up fitness and you know, fight, and it's like UFC was what was always on, and I had always liked MMA more than anything else anyway, just because it's pure action. But I remember just watching like flashback fights, you know what I mean, just whatever was on, like Mark Hunt and Fabricio Verdum.
Okay.
When he was, I don't know if you remember that, man. At the time, I was heavier, so I was like 230 at the time. Kind of bulky, still had some fat on me, but seeing Mark Hunt, someone who was like 5'10", go in there and just knock these big dudes out, you know. So I remember that fight. He kept on hitting him. Fabricio was falling, and he kept telling him, stand up, stand up. Like,
so
I'm not going to
more. Yeah.
And then he ended up losing the fight from it.
Damn.
He ended up losing. But it's like, I just remember seeing that, man, and like the old Velasquez and gosh, what's his name?
Well, like back then though, there was really no weight classes, right? So, or were there at this time?
In this
okay,
time,
at this time there was.
Yes,
okay.
like Dos Santos and Velasquez, their rematches where it was just bloodbaths, and these dudes are straight on their shield, just swinging. You're like, dang, man, like, you know, I fell in love with it, and then learning the sport and seeing stuff, I'm like. I always watched it. I observed for years before I was ever even able to step into a boxing ring.
Right.
So once he had hooked me up with Rob and I got out and met him, Rob took an instant liking to me because he's like, you know, he doesn't get calls and letters from people recommending, at least not people like Dale.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, that kicked it off. I fell in love with it, and I put so much time into boxing for so many years. And while I did train some MMA stuff, it was like for, you know, a few years I dumped everything into boxing and just, you know, fell in love with that. I competed in some boxing, amateur stuff, and that was my goal. But MMA was always like where I wanted to end up.
I see what you're saying.
So it got to the point where I was like, okay, now, you know, I'm ready to make this jump. Like, I feel like my hands are good enough to where I need to go train some other stuff.
Yeah.
And working with Roger a couple times a week just wasn't enough. You know, I needed more bodies, more people. So that's when I went out to Sakin and got with them. Yeah, man, and it's just kind of took off from there.
Hell yeah.
It's like it's a whole web of how I got into it. Like, you know, from the people that got me into it to the people that I'm with now, you know, mutual. You know, they know who each other are. You know, they're mutual friends. We all came up around the same coaches.
Right.
You know, Roger was also with out of Sakin when he was coming up. You know, when he was doing his striking, his Muay Thai and stuff was out of Sakin with some of Neil Rose guys. So yeah, man, it's crazy. But I look back and I'm like, I would have never thought when I started this
that you would be.
This is where it would be, and so then we made the jump to MMA.
Hell yeah.
We worked my grappling. You know, we got some wrestling defense, and we were like, you know, for the most part, NAMIs were like, we're staying on the feet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And man, grappling is just one of those things that didn't click for me at first. Now it's clicking.
Yeah.
You know,
It's so like for me. I mean, I'm not a fighter, no way.
Yeah.
But I can only imagine like just seeing UFC and seeing how people fight. Grappling is just another type of level. It's like wrestling. You got Muay Thai, you got Jiu-Jitsu. There's all these different levels to it. And I think like, I don't know, it takes a lot to be a complete fighter.
Yeah, it does, man. It does. And I think early on, like, maybe like, you know, wrestling and Jiu-Jitsu definitely gave me more problems because I was a stand-up fighter, you know. But now we've put so much time into that, even though I haven't really used it in the cage at all. It's like, I mean, we have grinded out my Jiu-Jitsu and my wrestling and wrestling defense and how to work stuff off that. So a lot of hours, man, a lot of hours. Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit, I kind of want to go back a little bit too. You talked about how growing up, you kind of didn't surround yourself with like that core group, and that kind of led you in different paths that were not always the greatest, right?
No.
Now that you are with a team,
that
you're surrounding yourself with people that want to see you succeed, what are some lessons that kind of taught you?
You are who you hang out with. You are who you surround yourself with. You know what I mean? I like to be around fucking alpha killers that are positive. You know what I mean? Like versus being around alphas and killers that are fucking pieces of shit. You know what I mean? Which, mind you, and my one dude's here right now. I grew up. My dude Travis over there. We grew up together, man, and we've been through some absolute crazy stuff. And all my friend group that we grew up with, it's, 4 of us that are super close, nobody's on bullshit anymore. So it's cool to see everybody like that. Everybody now has a family, and it's like, although we all learned our lessons in different ways, and there's different stuff that changed us to be like that, but it's cool to be able to sit there with all 3 of my dudes, my dude Chandler, my dude Winter, and my dude Travis, and be able to sit there and be like, damn, like, we're not worried about the door getting kicked in right now.
Right.
Or hey, like, we're driving around and, we don't got anything to worry about.
Absolutely.
So it's cool, man. It's cool to still say I got the people that were with me in that fucked up time, because usually you shed those people, and there's a lot of people who have shed it, and they're probably doing great on their own with whatever they did, but the people directly in my circle outside of my fight family and all that, they're all positive and on the same stuff too. So it's cool to see the growth where it's like, dang, like, most of us made it. All of us made it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, man.
And that's always great.
Always, man. Always.
Hell
always.
yeah.
Yep. It's a blessing every day.
Absolutely. I want to talk about us in prison. What was that time like? We were there for 6 years, you said.
6 years.
So
yeah,
what
man.
was that? What was that like?
Man, that was a crazy time. There was so many different times. I feel like I was 3 or 4 different people, 5 different people just in the time I was there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Man, I started out and I was just so, like, I got 6 years. And
how old were you when you went into?
So when everything happened, I was 21.
Okay.
But I ended up going away a couple weeks after I turned 22. And then I ended up getting out 3 days later after I turned 28. So
wow.
Like a legit 6 years, almost day for day. Yeah, man. When I first got down, I was broken over, like, seeing how much my actions affected the kids and my family and everyone around me. It was like you just kind of hate yourself, and I mean that came, in the midst of just the disbelief at the time, Just, you're like, hey, like 6 years, and I was only 20, just turned 22. I'm like, holy shit, that's a fraction of how long I've been alive. I'm like, I feel like I've been alive forever.
Right.
So looking forward, it sucked, man.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of times it sucked in there,
Right.
I've spent, some month in the hole at a time. Like that sucks, man. Being down there alone. Like, I actually found out that my daughter Amora, who is now 11, I found out that she was born while I was in the hole.
Wow.
Yeah, in the middle of winter, man. It was couldn't have been anything above 40 degrees in this place.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And I remember getting a knock on the door and hearing, hey, Frazer, your daughter was born. She's healthy. And he left. And I remember running the door. I was like, can I get a phone call?
Yeah, like something. Right.
And I think 2 days later, they ended up getting me a phone call, man. And that kind of broke me, being down there. Just, it's like the mental battle, the knowing, hey, I'm in a hole inside of a hole that's under a prison. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's, yeah, man, that sucked.
Yeah.
And then, I feel like a lot of stuff would happen at home. Normal stuff that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's hard to be, to just kind of sit as a spectator, and be on the phone and just hear about stuff and not being able to do anything about it. So I got into some not so great stuff in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some dudes that I've met that will be my brothers for life, but, some dudes just,
Right.
it's always something. So, yeah, man, there was some rough times. And then, a few years after that, I ended up getting out of kind of the group that I was in, and got into fitness, man. That's when I was like, fuck this. Like,
yeah.
I want to learn how to fight too.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I want to be healthy. I want to be strong. I want, and then, like, yeah, man. So it was kind of like like I've said it before, it's like a trial by fire. You know what I mean? Like, I've always been a fighter, just I was a street fighter.
Yeah.
I was a little shithead fighter, and it was like I always didn't have the easiest time because I grew up, when I was growing up, I hung out with a lot of older people. So it's like, being that younger dude, you're kind of catching the butt end of shit. Yeah. So I feel like I was made to be tough and now I look back at my life, I'm like, damn, like I was born to fight. You know what I mean? In one way or another. I went through chemo when I was 14. Wow. Yeah, I got diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. Wow. Yeah, okay. Man, had it in my neck, so they cut me open. I was misdiagnosed for a while. Then they ended up, being like, hey, like, you got lymphoma. You got to go through chemo. So I went through some chemo, some radiation.
You've been facing adversity throughout your life.
Yeah, physically and mentally, and it comes in different forms.
Right.
Some you can't punch your way out of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But as bad as it sounds, I've always, looking back, and I'm like, as a kid, it was rough dealing with that. But I'm like, as an adult, like, if I ever found out I had cancer again, I'd be like, let's fucking go. You know what I mean? Like, let's go. Like,
hell yeah.
I mean, it's just the mentality, man.
Yeah.
It's like, no matter if I've ever been beaten in life by anything, it's like I don't ever view myself as undefeated or as a beatable person. You know what I mean? I'm going to give it hell.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm going to give it hell. Shit, die trying. Like, you have to kill me.
I feel like right now in this time of age too, there's not a lot of people that have that same mindset where like a lot of people use their circumstances and it becomes their identity.
Yeah, man.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's like, man, it's like if you just switch out your mindset, you're not only gonna think positively, but your circumstance is gonna change.
Yeah. You know what, man? I didn't even talk about any, like, because I've never used it as a crutch, and me, like, it doesn't consume my life, but like my, me going through cancer, I never even talked about that until I was actually with John from Kiss 107.
Oh shoot.
He had me on air.
Okay.
We were promoting my fight. And, it was Wellness Wednesday, so, he kind of got a background on me, and he was like, oh, man, like, this is, phenomenal. Like, this is something that needs to be told, this is what we're going to talk about. And it's like, am I proud that I beat it? Yeah, but it's like, I don't want it to be my identity, like, no, it's like, I don't live for how people view me either.
Right.
You know what I mean? Who I am inside of my household and to the people that are close to me, that's what truly matters.
Absolutely.
To me. You know what I mean? 100%. What my brothers think of me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like everyone I have around me, I don't think I have one person that would talk shit or say bad stuff behind my back in my circle. And it's like it's cool to have that, to be like, hey, like people look at you in a positive way.
Yeah.
I
want to talk about your nickname, Fatality.
Yes.
When did that nickname come about?
Well, so look, we had said, Roger was always like, and I was never big on nicknames. I was like, fucking, I won't even have a nickname. You know what I mean? We like Nate Diaz or something, right?
Yeah. But everybody knows who he is. He's savage, dude.
Exactly. So I remember there was just a couple different ones that were going around after, I think, it was around the time of like my last amateur to first pro fight.
Yeah.
Maybe it was right around my first pro. And we were like, okay, actually, yeah, it was, because it's on the poster. So it was after Miami. After I fought Dylan Zartman up in Newark, Ohio for OCL. Yeah. I got that one and it just clicked and I was like, Fatality. And it's like everyone was like, that's it, that's it. And I got that Mortal Kombat tattoo on. Well, it's like, people were like, oh, I'm obsessed with the video game. And it's like, really, like, I like the lineage, I like the story behind it. Hey, like, you're Earth's chosen warrior.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's deep. It's way deeper than that.
Yeah. Versus someone who's like, oh, I'm going to get this because I like the video games. It's like, listen, buddy, like, do your thing, but there ain't a video game out there that I'm going to put on the side of my head.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was more just that symbol of, like, you're Earth's chosen warrior. Like, and if you know some of the stories or seen some of the movies, it's like, man, like, dude, in the first Mortal Kombat actual movie, he's a MMA fighter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
He's
a good movie.
Beaten. He got beat up, comes back, and it's like later in the movie, he fucking,
Right.
Yeah.
One of my favorite, like, messages behind that movie, too, is that he did it for his family. This podcast is sponsored by Train Like a Champion, where athletes come to get real results. There are no cookie-cutter workouts, just science-backed training to help build your speed, power, and performance. For more information, check us out at tlctrainlikeachampion.mypixius.com or follow us on Instagram at tlc.513athletes. It's time for us to train different and train like champions. Now let's get back to our show.
I want them to feel secure. I want to give my kids everything in my family, my kids, my wife. It's like, and that's something I'm like, we're going to get this better life.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what we do, we're giving it hell because I want them to feel secure. I want my kids to not have to worry about some of the stuff that I did. I had a single mom growing up and it's like, I want them to have luxuries while my mom always, did everything that she could for me and my sister and was phenomenal. But it's like, I want my kids to have, a bunch of dope shit. You know what I mean? I don't want them to feel like they're, you know, limited to just what we can do. You know, not saying I wouldn't make them work for it or anything, or, you know, make sure that they earned it, but I don't want to worry about us losing where we live. You know what I mean? I don't want us to worry about if we can go take that vacation. And, you know, it's like, and then this is falling in my lap. So it's like, watch, I mean, mark my words, like this will be my full-time career.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It will be. Like,
and I love that you're speaking it into existence. I've always been huge about that.
Yeah,
where
bro.
everything you say, you're just speaking it.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's going to
day.
become your mindset. Then that changes your circumstance.
Yeah, bro. I live and breathe it. I don't feel like I'm lost in life and I need to find out where I'm going. I know exactly where I'm going.
Right.
And every day I'm in here grinding. Every time I step in that cage, like, you know, it's like that's my mindset.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, you know, this is another stop to where I need to be.
Right.
You know,
I want to talk
stone.
a little bit about your transition from boxing to then MMA. You kind of touched on it a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
But what kind of effect did it have on your body? Because it's two different types of training.
It is, man. But I can say that even with boxing, all my workouts in the gym on the weights.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I do high intensity stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I work out intense. I work out like I train and I fight. You know what I mean? So I feel like a lot of my body was athletic enough to endure it. But man, there's stuff when think about it. I mean, the first time you hit a boxing bag or the first time you hit mitts, your whole entire body aches.
Yeah.
That you're like, I didn't even use this muscle, you know, but you did.
Yeah.
So jiu-jitsu's kind of the same thing. You know, it's like my body had to get used to that. But we're there now. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Hell yeah. How did you prepare like your shins, your legs to kind of receive and give kicks?
So really, man, like it's Seiken, where my Muay Thai came from, it wasn't so much, hey, you know, let's condition your legs and beat it with sticks and roll them out. It's like, no, like if you kick as much as you're supposed to kick on that bag and you train as much as you're supposed to train, like that'll come.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I mean, kick the bottom of a heavy bag, you know what I mean, after it's settled in for a few years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go get your shin conditioned.
Right.
You know what I mean? I've never tried to kick a pole or anything.
Yeah, that's some crazy stuff.
I'd give it a try. I'd give it a try.
Yeah.
After the next fight. After the next
Okay, I got you.
Yeah,
I got you.
After the next one.
Let's talk about your debut, man. Your first professional debut.
Yeah, man.
What was that moment like for you? What emotions were going on?
Well, I remember coming out and seeing the lights, and I remember as I'm walking out the stage, I'm like, I'm here. You know what I mean? Like, I'm here. Like, this was something that when I would tell people I'm going to be a professional fighter, before I ever had someone like Roger, people that believed in me, I had waves of people that doubted me. Like, oh, yeah, you know, aren't you a little too old for that? You know, this and that. And I'm like, well, I also didn't put my body through sports when I was younger. You know, I didn't put my body through the ringer. So it's like, you know, my body, I feel like I'm just getting into my prime. You know what I mean? In everything I do, like fading isn't in the question. You know what I mean? Can you do MMA to a certain age? Yes. You know what I mean? But it's like, shit, I mean, at 33, like, I got years left.
Right.
You know what I mean? And, you know, it's like, look at the heavyweights. Some heavyweights fight until they're like 40-something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, because you get heavier, you know what I mean? Hey. I mean,
Right.
we'll go up in a weight class if we got
But
to.
boom, you enter the ring.
Yeah.
What's that mindset going on? Like, what are you thinking of this fighter? What how are you feeling this moment?
Man, as much as Roger and everyone has always beat it into my head, you know, like, because my striking and we haven't really displayed everything inside the cage because of the mindset I'm about to explain. But, you know, it's like, I mean, I'm crisp, you know what I mean? My striking is in and out, you know, I touch people like it's at a level that I'm proud to say is, you know, a high level. Yeah. Even if I haven't always performed like that. But it's because I come in, man, and it's like, you know, some people have to bring that dog out of them.
Right.
It's like, I got to pull it back. You know what I mean?
I've
been told that since I started. You got to pull it back. So I look at him, and I'm like, I'm going to kill you. You know what I mean? Like, this is murder. Like, I'm coming, like, I want, you know, I'll take your life right now. You signed the contract, and so did I. You know what I mean? But it's like, it also comes, and while, you know, we always say stick to the game plan, it's like, I got Roger. Man, we got so many videos of Roger in the back. He's like, man, fuck this dude. He's not coming into your city. He's not taking food out your mouth. This dude's, you know what I mean? We're not doing this. Like, you know what I mean? He doesn't, you know, treat him this way. You know what I mean? Like, you know, fucking, we don't touch gloves. We don't shake hands. Like, we can do that after the fight. But before, you know what I mean? We're not, like, we let you know that at weigh-ins. You know what I mean? No. Like, no. So it's like having that and then also having that murder mentality. It's like, it's worked against me. It's helped me. It's helped me in some fights, but it's definitely worked against me. Like in the last one, man. in the last fight, it was like I came out, man, our game plan was so perfect. Like everything we needed to beat this dude. Like, and you know what I mean? You got the dub. You know what I mean? You got the dub. Like, I'm not taking that from you. You know what I mean? Because MMA is a sport where in a split second someone could do something and it changes everything. That's why I love this sport. You know what I mean? Like, I was an underdog. You know what I mean? So I'm not never going to hate on an underdog that also takes it. But it was like, man, on this last one, I came out, and he had actually took a fight a couple weeks before, a kickboxing match, an unsanctioned one.
Damn.
So I feel like I kind of had a chip on my shoulder about that because I'm like, damn, bro, if you would have got your fucking nose broke or you would have got cut up, like you'd have messed up everybody that's been coming, that's coming to see me. You know what I mean? You'd have messed up everything. So I kind of had a chip on my shoulder about that, man. And Roger said, I think I was fighting more off anger, but see, it's like I threw so many hip punches because I was just getting burnt out.
Yeah.
My warm up was all right, but I didn't have the best warm up before. Not ever blaming that.
Right.
Because I've always been like, I'm someone like, if you ask me to come off the couch, like, come on, like, I've been coming off the couch for years fighting. You know what I mean? I'm getting off my bunk in the middle of sleeping, like, hey, come on. You know what I mean? So, it's like that's never been the problem, but. Yeah, man, there was a lot went into it. I burnt myself out, you know what I mean? Usually as a fighter, whenever you hear that ref say, show me something, show me something, show me something, you got to defend yourself. So it's like once I had him kind of covered up, I was like, all right, I'm one shot away from them stopping this, even if it's not the knockout, it's the win. You know what I mean? And I'm like, okay. And there's fighters that will tell you the same thing. Hey, like, I don't care if the punches aren't doing a thing to him. Like, if he's down here and he's covered up, like, I'm going to hit him with whatever until that ref stops it.
Right.
So on 3 different occasions throughout that little short fight, the ref was like, show me something, man. So I just put the gas pedal on. Abandoned all the game plan. Abandon everything because that's not what we ever come to do. You know what I mean? Like, I teach boxing. I've been boxing for years. My boxing is something that everyone sees and respects. But it's like I get in there, man, and I drop my hands, and I'm not throwing my straight punches, and I'm getting around, and it's so loud in there, and it's like I hear Roger like, body, and I'm like, my head, I'm just like, hit the body, and it's like every time I hit his body, we were hurting him. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it was just, man, it wasn't my night because I beat myself in the cage. I had a phenomenal camp. Phenomenal prep, crispy, and just went in there and didn't apply it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it's like, I told him, like, Al, like, you know what I mean? I'm a human. Like, you know what I mean? I mess shit up. I do shit all the time. Like, I'm not foolproof. You know what I mean? So I don't, while we did get the rematch, I don't know if you heard about that. That's May 23rd.
Oh, dude, I'm going to be honest with you. I watched clips of the fight. The fact that he didn't get dropped is insane.
Yeah.
Because you were landing everything. I don't know how he wasn't getting dropped.
Came from the hip, man. I got some still pictures that I'll send you, and you can put them up on
Hell
this,
yeah,
man.
I will.
And I mean, it's just like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? Like, but we knew that going into it. We're like, this dude's got a hard head. Like, he has twice as many MMA fights as me. You know what I mean? He's got kickboxing experience. Like, this isn't, while we were like, all right, our striking's definitely going to reign against him. We're like, I let myself be vulnerable. You know what I mean? But you never doubt somebody. You never take it away. Like, this dude's tough. He's been punched.
Right.
You know what I mean? And hats off to that. You know what I mean? You step in the cage, like, you got my respect. You're a warrior. You know what I mean? Am I coming for your life now? A little bit. You know what I mean?
Right.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's the game we play. Nothing personal outside of the cage. But, yeah, we were able to get the rematch because, I mean, while it may not have been the best fight for my coaches to watch, for people who can't really pick apart all the errors, it was action-packed. You know what I mean? And it's like I just feel like we got to get that back because of how it ended. So I was able, man, I was blessed to be able to get the rematch, and we're going to go in there, man. We're going to go to war again. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's going to be a fire show. May 23rd at the Megacorp Pavilion. So
hell yeah.
Hold up, bro.
Hell yeah, man.
You know what I mean?
So how you bouncing back? What now is changing? Because obviously you said you had a strong game plan. Man. Threw it out the window, but what kind of things are we going to change that you want to share that way we don't?
So we're going to tweak, man, with the patience. It's like I mean, my coaches, everyone I train with, I mean, bro, I'm sharp. You know what I mean? If I set stuff up, I'm touching you with these punches.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like just not going in there and trying to kill. You know what I mean? Treat this like a heavy sparring match and go out there and put the heat on certain punches. But, You know what I mean? We're ready for wherever it goes. You know what I mean? Can't leak all the plans, but really, man, like my last game plan, wins. My last game plan wins. 10 times out of 10, 9 times out of 10. We'll give a lucky punch in any scenario. You know what I mean? There's always a puncher's chance.
Right.
For sure. But it's like the other game plan that we have, perfect. But I abandoned it. I said, nope. Fuck that game plan.
I ain't gonna lie, I would have done the same thing though if I heard him like protect himself. Cause like for real, dude, his hands were down, everything was down, his guard, everything. He was so open. I would have done the same thing.
Bro, there was I'm surprised it didn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm surprised it didn't. But I tried to rush it and I burnt my. It was like almost 100 punches thrown in a minute. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you were ripping
and it's
them,
like
dude.
I'm coming from the hip with these wide punches, which those are, I sit there and throw 1-2s all day.
Yeah.
I mean, I could throw hooks on it, but I'm putting everything into them, you know what I mean? Chasing them along the cage.
Burning yourself out.
And I burnt myself out. And the more I look back, it's like I took a couple shots that I shouldn't have took even before. You know what I mean? The last couple ones, I'm like, man, like if I'd have just been moving my head when I threw my punch, that wouldn't have landed. And you know what I mean? You're not taking into consideration that those ones, you may be able to walk through them, but each one of those down the pipe, like, you know what I mean? Your head's still going to feel something, you know what I mean? So, but instantly, man, and I knew as I was doing it, I was like, I'm getting it done. And I remember thinking in my head, like, this ain't how I wanted to win, you know what I mean? But hey, like, we'll take it.
Right.
So yeah, man. Yeah. I knew that. I was like, man, my team is going to be so mad at me. I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But we bounced back, man. I'm not hung up on it.
Yeah. And I think
it's
that's
not
huge.
something Roger told me. He was like, man, don't take those losses home. Like, don't let your family feel that. And it's like after hearing that from him, I'm like, from someone who's actually, been through the same shit, I'm like, I'll let it roll off. You know what I mean? I
think that's huge.
Yeah.
How do you prepare your body though? Like condition your body. You say you're fighting nonstop.
Yeah.
But how do you condition your body to go the long run? Because these rounds, what is it, like 5 minutes?
5 minutes.
5 minute rounds, man. 5 minutes in a tight cage where the person across you wants to murder you.
So OCL's cage is actually like it's like a UFC size cage. So it's nice, man. I fought for some other organizations where it's like you're in there with a grappler and they're like 15 feet across.
Yeah, I seen one of your fights, and I mean this was a tiny little cage.
It was the blue one?
Yeah, it was the blue one.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that was LFC.
Yeah,
it's LFC, man. And yeah, those small cages, you're like, I like the bigger. I'm a striker. You know what I mean?
Right.
I like it. But it's like now I feel like we're well-rounded enough to where, we'll fight in a phone booth if we got to.
Hell yeah.
I mean? Yeah.
But more like, what are you doing to prepare your body? Like, what kind of conditioning are you doing? Are you running? What's going on?
So I don't do a ton of running, but my workouts are intense. Like when you finish off class and you go through one of Roger's 10-minute nonstop rounds, or you're in team class for conditioning, it's like, oh, it's nonstop. You know what I mean? You're doing everything from sprawls and burpees down, in sets. You're working them down to pushing sleds, doing pull-ups, you know what I mean? Slamming balls, doing battle ropes. It's like, and also when we train, we train for longer rounds. You know what I mean? We train for 5. We'll get 8-10-minute sparring rounds. You know what I mean? But I mean, we're always the minimum is always 5.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're in here pushing the pace the way that Team Relentless does, it's like we train harder in here than we fight in the cage.
I see.
You know what I mean? Hands down. There's people that have come in here and it's like this is harder. This prepares you for what you're going to take out there. And I feel like, we'll work with high-level grapplers, and it's like, okay, no one you're going to face in the cage right now is going to be this high-level grappler.
Hell yeah.
You know what I mean? Or, you got phenomenal strikers out of here, just heavy hitters, and you're like, because we have a lot. Oh, my bad.
No, you're good, man. You're good.
A lot of our people crack, bro. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
And training isn't something like, while we've lightened it up, we'll tell people, hey, tone it back a little bit, Shit, we see Roger seems to attract killers. You know what I mean? A lot of people crack. A lot of people fucking crack.
Hell yeah.
So it's like I've been hit harder in here than I've ever been hit in a cage.
Good.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's a good thing because that truly prepares your body. Because in any other sport, if you work harder in practice, that just prepares you even more for the game.
Yeah. Sweat more in practice, you know what I mean?
Hell yeah,
in the cage,
absolutely.
Train hard, fight easy, and that's kind of what we live by. It's like, our workouts, and they're not just, it's not just beating up the bag. It's like, no, like we're whole body conditioning. When we go through our conditioning, we are working everything. You know what I mean? And I feel like athletically, you know, better than I've ever been. Recovery wise, I pay attention to that. You know what I mean? I do a lot of like sauna and ice bath for recovery. You know what I mean? Make sure that I'm just on point with that. And I also think that finding the right training partners, you know what I mean? Like a spazzy white belt will wreck your body just not knowing. It's like having smart training partners that know like, hey, can I pop this punch? And can I tag them with it and make them know like, hey, I got hit without trying to put my fist through their head?
Right.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, hey, we can grapple and do stuff and you're not going to break my neck. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think, yeah, having those people to where it's like we all push it just enough. You know what I mean?
Find
We're
that
not
little happy
dead.
middle.
No one's dead yet.
Not yet.
No one's dead yet.
I feel that.
Yeah.
And then I know that in your past you were a certified personal trainer. Are you still now?
Yeah, so I do personal training.
Yeah.
But like I was certified. I went and got my certificate and stuff. But I didn't follow up on keeping it once I realized like, hey, I'm not gonna work at a regular gym. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I do a lot of like boxing privates and I train people for weight loss and muscle gain and all that. I've got a decent amount of people that will come to me, you know what I mean? And then, you know, they'll branch off to my other gyms. It's like I'm continuing that web.
Right.
You know what I mean? I have people that used to train with me in my old garage gym who are now part of Rob Radford's gym.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now they're boxing and doing stuff.
Hell
so
yeah.
it's like, you know, the web continues. You know what I mean?
But with your exercise science background, like boxing and MMA, what kind of muscle groups are used or what kind of muscles need to be strengthened to endure all these punches and to land crazy hooks?
So Roger always says, you know, like we'll murder legs. He's like, you know, first thing to go in a fight is legs with adrenaline. Mine, it's like, you know, being bigger up top and having more muscle up top. It's like, man, my shoulders, you know, used to burn out. It's like that's something that I target when I'm exercising. I'm like, you know, now I go for higher reps. I'm not so much heavy weight and trying to put on a bunch of mass. I want to be conditioned to be able to throw this 100 times.
Right.
And not burn out. And I mean, that didn't work last time, but still though, you know, you got to do them in spurts. You know what I mean?
Right.
You got to do them in spurts.
It's being patient too, like you said.
Yeah, man. A strong core. We do a lot of core stuff. You know what I mean? A lot, but all muscle groups. I've always loved shoulders, you know what I mean? Shoulders and hitting shoulders and chest, something about pushing some, or just straight pull-ups, you know?
Hell yeah.
I tell people I built my whole foundation off of calisthenics, you know what I mean? Burpees, pull-ups, dips.
Oh, yeah.
You know
and
you
see those dudes, those dudes are lean.
Yeah, man, yeah. Strong, you know what I mean?
And
And then you put strength, you know, while I'm not in the gym as much as I was, like that's a weight gym, that's vital, man. People come in and train just fighting and they're not doing that outside, and it's like I can tell, you know what I mean?
Right.
You can tell that you're not picking up heavy shit and lifting it, you know? And I think it's beneficial for all fighters. Like you got to have a good regimen, you know what I mean? I don't do the whole like one body group a day, you know, no, like. And a lot of my own personal workouts are what I'll give, you know, when people are like, hey, you know, I want to be, you know, get bigger, but be lean. And I'm like, that's cool. We're going to do my stuff. And it's like, it's proven, you know what I mean? It works.
Yeah.
Like, it does work, man. But it took me a lot of years to get it down, to figure out what's just the right amount, what's too much, what's not enough. Because, I mean, through all my fights, it's like, you know, you learn from each one. I've had some where it's like, you know, maybe I should have focused more on this type of endurance for this, you know, or I've noticed in camps where I don't train legs as much.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know, my kicks aren't as hard, you know, it's like my legs don't feel as solid up top.
Right.
So
Do you almost tailor like certain workouts like in the program leading up to a fight based on the fighter that you're going to face? Like if you know that a fighter that you're going to do targets your shoulders a lot, tries to beat them up, that way your arm, you don't even feel like picking up your arms. Is that a muscle you hit?
So I feel like no one has been so out of the realm other than grappling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've really had to work on that. But grappling, yes. Like, you know, sprawls, freaking any leg workout you can think of. A lot of core stuff, you know, but also targeting stuff through like not just weights, but through just drills.
I see
you know
what
what I mean?
you're
Like because jiu-jitsu and grappling and stuff, like the rotations that you have to make when you're doing certain stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, you know, just lifting weights or just, you know,
it's not going to give you that
boxing
flexibility.
isn't going to give it to you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel like we're consistently growing in every area, even when we don't need it. We're preparing because we're like, hey, we're not preparing for the next guy. We're preparing for the big fights.
Right.
You know, like that's what we want to train for. Like these people are stepping stones. And while, you know, we're not going to take anybody lightly or look past them, it's like, you know, you're not our biggest fight of our life right now. You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. Where can people check you out on social media, man?
At Hunter Frazer 1.
Hunter
It's
Frazer 1.
Frazer.
Okay.
1. No
All right.
I. No I. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
And
brother.
then what's one message you have for anybody that's listening out here? What you got for 'em, man? Drop a little golden nugget to everybody.
Man, if I had to say something, it's you know, kind of cliche, but you know what I mean, don't give up. You know what I mean? Even if you're going through hard shit. I've gone through hard shit and gave up halfway through, man, and it's like I'll never do that again. And it's like if you find something you love, put all your eggs in that basket. You know, because if I didn't put all my eggs in fighting the way I have, I wouldn't be where I am.
Right.
And me 10 years ago, me 5 years ago, me 3 years ago would look at me now and be like, damn, like, that's fucking cool.
Hell
You know what
yeah.
I mean? That's what we wanted. So it's like living in that moment and being able to appreciate, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. Like, hey, you know, I'm going to be at my destination, you know, and you got to love the journey. You got to love it. You can't be a fighter and just love to fight. Like, I love working out.
The
Love
process.
everything. Yes, man. Yeah. Love everything about it, you know? Yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well, Hunter, I appreciate you being
Yeah,
on,
bro.
brother.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. It's been such an honor. Hell yeah.
Yes, let's go.
Your fight's May 23rd?
May 23rd at the Megacorp Pavilion.
All right. Let's do it.
Let's go.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
They ain't real enough. Cut her off, act like she dead, and it's killing her. New dawn, earn my seats. I left the ceiling up just to kill him softly. Ooh.